Hey everyone, for this video I'm going to be demonstrating the weapon wheel latency in Doom 2016. I'm using the PC version to demonstrate the inputs. Unfortunately I'm using the demo, so you only get these two weapons, but the latency should be clear. Despite that, I will show some console gameplay, but I want to have you aware of the inputs I'm going to be doing to make it clear. So yeah, getting into it. Uh, the weapon wheel in Doom 2016 takes a bit before it actually registers, and this is because the weapon wheel button, right bumper in most of the layouts, is shared with the previous weapon input. So if you tap the button, you get your previous weapon, which in this case is both these guys. If you hold it, the weapon wheel appears. The difference I can show here is that, of course, tapping it, and if you hold it, you don't switch back. So you can see there's a distinct difference between the way tapping and holding works. So the previous weapon and the weapon wheel. Now, the main issue with the wheel taking a bit to load is if you're wanting to switch between these weapons, cool, you just tap and everything's fine. But if you want to switch to another weapon, like the plasma rifle, which is down here, the rocket launcher, which is right here, the super shotgun, which is right here, and you switch too fast, you'll generally land back into the previous weapon input. So if I try to bring up the wheel and want to switch to the plasma rifle, which is right down here, but I switch too fast, it's a previous weapon. And if the weapon wheel actually registered, nothing should have happened. So this is pretty frustrating when you're trying to switch weapons quickly and you're just cycling through your two previous weapons. Like I'm just doing the plasma rifle bind right now and I'm switching too fast, so it's just switching back and forth. And you might notice like my aim's flicking down too. And this is actually a great way of showing the latency because your cursor control is completely free. Like the left or the right stick controls the cursor when you're just in the previous weapon input. So that's fine, that works, whatever. But when in the wheel, obviously the right stick becomes the selector. So it stops your cursor control and becomes the selector for this. But since the weapon wheel takes some time to load up, if one, you're switching too fast, you're going to be like making these jerky movements which aren't getting you the weapon you want. It just pushes you into the previous weapon, and your aim's bunk. So that's really frustrating. So you can see here the latency between just tapping it, no latency obviously, but you can see when I'm trying to bring up the wheel, you can see how long it takes from when I hold down the wheel to when my crosshair stops moving and the wheel actually appears. So I'll be showing this on console, the same inputs, so I'm going to be using the pistol and the shotgun as my previous things, and then trying to switch to the plasma rifle, which is completely out of the way, and doing the same inputs. So you'll see the same kind of non-registration that's going on there. Okay, so back on PC now. Now, while I'm demonstrating this, and this is feedback for the Doom 2016 title, Doom 2016 support is over. I don't expect any patches to address this. Where this is most important is feedback for Doom Eternal, because I'd imagine that 2016 controls are basically just going to be ported straight over there. And so it'd be good to see in Eternal all these things addressed. Have a nice responsive weapon wheel that registers immediately rather than delayed like it is. And what's even more important than just in campaign, because campaign, kind of babying the wheel, making sure it's out before you actually switch, it isn't a huge deal. It's kind of a pain if you want to have actual quick, faster gameplay and all that stuff. But it's all right. But since id Software's taken the helm in doing the multiplayer in house now for Eternal, they may adopt the classic arena shooter method of letting you hold 8 weapons at once, which would carry this issue over there if that was the case. Doom 2016's multiplayer was just 2 weapons, so that wasn't an issue at all. But if there is 8 weapons in multiplayer, then this issue will be put over there, and multiplayer is generally much faster than single player. So having these issues would be a huge pain. Like you see someone at a distance, using the vortex rifle or whatever, and you want to switch to your rocket launcher, but your previous weapon was a pistol, and you're switching too fast, and you're just getting swapping between your pistol and vortex rifle, and they're in perfect distance for a rocket launcher or something. Like that would just be a complete pain. So hopefully this can be addressed there. And there's a few solutions to this. One is simply getting rid of the previous weapon bind so that the wheel is your only means of switching weapons and it registers immediately. The other one would just be bringing up the weapon wheel immediately, but having maybe the central position of the wheel be your previous weapon bind. So if you bring up the wheel, it registers automatically or immediately, and you don't give any directional input, then you switch to your previous weapon. But if you did, then you'd switch to that weapon. We see basically this functioning in the first Shadow Warrior reboot, where the central position was the melee weapon, and if you wanted any other ones, you'd switch here. But even like something like Grand Theft Auto 5 has it so that the weapon wheel registers immediately, but if you tap it, it's melee in your previous weapon. But all the other weapons register immediately, so you can switch swap in there. And that'd be great to see in Doom Eternal, so we wouldn't have this this awkward latency and kind of jerky movement if we're making switches that are too fast for the this current weapon wheel implementation to register. But that about covers it. Hopefully this was clear enough. Hopefully the latency was demonstrated well, and the issues with how long it takes to register as well as the jerky cursor movement are obvious. But that covers it. Thanks for watching. If id Software ever sees this, please improve this for Eternal. That'd be tremendous quality of life improvement, and definitely make the game play better for those that like it. And I've heard that this issue also exists on PC for those that are using the weapon wheel on PC rather than direct binds, like with mouse and keyboard. So it would definitely help the few people that decide to use it on there too. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.